Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Board of Director Candidate Interviews. I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, and I have teamed up with the PDGA to get a little more insight to our 8 board candidates that are running for the positions this year. And today, I'm going to be joined by Leah Tsinajinnie. And Leah, I think the tough part for me is done. I think I got your name right?
You did. Good job.
All right. Well, we can end it there. No. All right. Well, so excited to talk to you. You're one of our newer PDGA members that's going to be running for the board. So I'm super excited to run through these questions with you. You've got the same questions that we're going to hear from all of the potential candidates. And we're going to start out super easy and simple for you. And that is, how long have you been a PDGA member and how long have you played disc golf?
I have been, actually, we are coming up on my anniversary, my year anniversary of joining the PDGA. So I believe I got my number towards the end of June. It would have been right before my first tournament ever.
Wow.
So.
And so clearly a recent PDGA member. How long have you been playing actual disc golf, and then like what drove you to get into it?
So I started playing disc golf at the beginning of May last year. So it's been about 13 months now, and I joined the PDGA a month later when I found a tournament that I wanted to sign up for.
What was it that got you to the sport in the first place?
So I was a professional ultimate frisbee player and on a club team at USA Ultimate. So Atlanta Soul and Atlanta Ozone, both women's teams. And I was planning to play last year, but when the pandemic hit and I was left without any competitive sports to play, I found my way into disc golf through some friends. And the second I found out that tournaments were still going on, I was like, I can be competitive and learn a new sport at the same time. Like, that sounds amazing. I'm going to do it. And so only a month into playing, I signed up for the Etowah Mud Single in FA3. And that's actually the only FA3 tournament. I went up to FPO right after that. So I've been doing FPO ever since that.
All right. Well, I say it often. Welcome to the Frisbee family, but you were already here. You were just, in a different discipline, but welcome to the disc golf family as you're a recent addition. Glad to have you. All right.
Thanks.
Well, we're going to move in. Now they're going to get a little tougher. And we start with question 1, which is, one of the 2 main elements of the PDGA mission is to develop disc golf into a globally recognized competitive and recreational activity. What does that mean to you, and how would you contribute as a board member towards this objective?
I love that question. For me, growing it globally means that we have to include communities that we don't typically see in disc golf. And so specifically for me, that means growing it with the mindset of trying to get more Black, Indigenous, and people of color into the sport, and other diverse populations too. So for me, when I think about, anyone that can get their hands on a disc and they fall in love with the game, like that has happened typically within the communities that have access to a disc golf or a disc golf course or whatnot. So I think just thinking about new ways to get people into the game without necessarily having to have a course there. So especially those that are doing work on the youth side, those initiatives are really important. And then initiatives with LGBTQ communities, anyone with handicaps or other disabilities, those kinds of things, I can really see disc golf growing because, all of those communities, they want an outlet for, physical activity and being outside too. And so finding this sport, I mean, I've only been in it for a year and I'm already all in. So, so if we could get more people that look like me and other diverse populations, that'd be sweet.
Okay, well, that definitely will kind of lead into question 2, which is the other element of the PDGA mission is to sustain the growth of the organization, the membership, and the overall sport. So the same question is, what does that mean to you, and how do you contribute to that, the sustaining the growth of the organization, the membership, and the sport itself?
Mm-hmm. So to sustain growth, that definitely has to happen at the local levels. The PDGA is like the broader, aspects of growing the sport. But when it comes to being able to create strong, lasting initiatives, then, that has to be at the local level. So whether that's, getting the PDGA to provide more toolkits or other resources, we can be able to support those, organizers that are working at their clubs or trying to just run a clinic or coaching. So those kinds of things I think are super important. Everyone that is a volunteer or an organizer in any way in their local city or town, that's where it's really important. So providing resources for those people.
Okay. Well, number 3 is the current priorities for the 2023 PDGA strategic plan include the following areas. And now there's 6 of them, and I'll repeat them for you because I know it's a lot to remember, but they're essentially asking which priorities do you feel are the most important? The top 1 or 2 priorities do you feel are the most important, and how can you go about developing them? And those 6 are youth and education, increase support for local clubs, enhancing PDGA leagues, membership levels and benefits, sustainability, and then marketing and media. And if you want, I'll quickly repeat those. Youth and education, increased support for local clubs, enhancing PDGA level leagues, membership levels and benefits, sustainability, and then media and marketing. If you had to pick kind of 2 of those bullet points in terms of furthering those priorities or furthering those and making those your top priorities, what would they be?
I really like the first one, especially youth and education. I've been around youth and sports for a long time now. I've coached ultimate frisbee since I was in college at the high school and middle school levels. I lived abroad for a year in Israel working for Ultimate Peace, which is a nonprofit that it uses the sport of ultimate frisbee for middle school and high school age kids, where they learn about mutual respect and nonviolent conflict resolution in an area that obviously has a lot of a long history with conflict. And so basically, to me, it's all about the youth and getting different, diverse youth in the sport. And so for me, that would be number 1.
Okay.
So I love what UPlay is doing, and being on the PDGA Diversity and Outreach Task Force, we've got a chance to look at some grant applications where there were, organizers that were specifically trying to get more youth into the sport and youth of color, and at the high school, maybe some college age people too. So definitely that is important to me. And then the other one, I would say,
I can relist them for you. That's enhanced PDGA leagues, increased support for local clubs, membership levels and benefits, sustainability, and media and marketing.
Yeah, so the increasing, the support for local clubs would be another important one, just because that falls in line with what I was saying about, giving more resources to the local level organizers. For them, we would really need to hear from what they would need. So, just as a board member, being able to listen and learn more about what they see, what they would want to see from the PDGA in order to support them.
Okay. Well, we're going to move on to number 4 here, which is what skills and experiences would you bring to the board to help further those priorities, the ones you were just talking about in terms of, you were saying, increase support for local clubs and then youth and education. What are some of your skills that you'd bring to the board?
So, I mean, first and foremost, like I identify as a person of color. So I am a member of Navajo Nation. So I'm Navajo and Filipino. And so just being a person of color brings these unique lived experiences that allow me to, have a different perspective than what I think a lot of the, what we've gotten from past board members, So I'm a woman of color. There's a lot that goes into my perspective, and I think that's super important. And then the next would be that I've been an organizer, a coach, and a volunteer for my entire life. My whole goal in life is just to help people and to make, bring positive change to the world. So when I think about my experiences, specifically at USA Ultimate, I was the Southeast College Women's Regional Director for five seasons. So, I have volunteer experience where I was in a key, role for the USA Ultimate. I also have nonprofit experience, living abroad for a year, as I mentioned, with Ultimate Peace, and also in law school, I had plenty of experience interning and externing for different nonprofits. There, I was at the National Council of Urban Indian Health and also the McCain Institute in Washington, D.C. And I've also worked at the tribal and local, the tribal, state, and federal levels. So I've been with the CDC, I've been with the Arizona Utilities Commission, and I've been with the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians in their legal assistance office. So all of my professional experience goes into, my values and how I feel about serving the people and bringing better change for people that are typically marginalized and those underserved populations. It's part of my being. So being here just makes sense.
Certainly. Okay, well, we're going to move on to number 5, which is there's a burgeoning professional scene that attracts eyeballs, but the vast majority of the membership are amateurs. What do you think the organizational's balance should be between the two, between, focusing on our pros versus our much larger demographic or membership, I should say, it being the amateurs? Where do you see the balance between those two?
It certainly has to be a balance. And as a professional player, I'm going to be advocating for certain things that I would like to see as a pro. But, for me, the majority is with the amateurs. So if we just look at the distribution, we should be focusing more time on amateurs in terms of getting them into the game and figuring out how to make their experience more enjoyable, because really it's just all about making sure that the people that are getting into the game stay in the game because they're having fun and they're, finding a community in which they feel like, they can be happy and have this healthy lifestyle. So for sure, amateurs, listening to them and figuring out what they would like to see is important. From my own perspective, I feel that the pros, can help shape the game in terms of getting more eyes on the sport. So definitely not something to leave out either. So that would be that's a tough question. I don't know exactly what that balance would look like. I would
Okay.
need, yeah.
There is evidence, such as the current surge of membership and event growth, staff size, etc., that says we should just stay the course. And on the other hand, there are people who feel the PDGA needs to change. Where do you fall on that spectrum and why?
I am a firm believer of continual growth. And so to me, that question is just what is it that the PDGA is doing that is working? And then what is it that they can do to improve? So for me, I'm always going to be trying to figure out what it is to improve and look at the areas for growth. So I definitely would love to see the PDGA do more self-reflection. So, being on the board, I want to hear members' input and player input and figure out what it is that we're doing that they do love and making sure that we continue that. But definitely the focus should be on where do we want to be, and what do we see that would be better than where we are now, which is to say that I feel confident in my abilities to accept criticism. I feel confident in my abilities to, take the time to self-reflect and grow, which one of my priorities is that transparency, and the other one being awareness. So just being able to, make adjustments and figure out where it is that we can make the sport better.
Okay. Now, after all of those, we have one that's a little bit more specific to you that was written up. So I'm going to give it to you, which is, despite being new to the sport, your bio and player profile show that you have quickly immersed yourself heavily into the culture and community. What positives and challenges have you seen during the densely packed disc golf career, and how do you plan on transforming both into greater outcomes for the PDGA? So I think that's trying to say you got at it quickly.
My friends think I'm absolutely crazy. My sister knows I'm crazy, so she wasn't surprised. So when I got into the sport, I tried signing up for as many tournaments as I could. And the great part about disc golf is that you get to see lots of different parts of the country. And so just from my travels itself, you can see how much love and pride goes into the local clubs. And so that for me has been the best, is, going to events and seeing the volunteers and having the volunteers just, be really happy that there's players at their, their home courses playing the game. So that to me has been really fun. And then some challenges that I've seen are just the disparities between especially the mixed divisions versus the female protected divisions, and even the age protected divisions. I'm seeing disparities there. So trying to get more priority and equity in the sport from a gender and racial lens. You can't have one without the other. All of these goals are intersectional. So when we think about when we see less FPO coverage, for example, that's always going to be something that's a hot ticket item that people want to discuss more. But to me, it just makes sense. If we want to see more FPO, have a higher number of FPO playing the game, we got to get more eyes on the division. So issues like that, where it's kind of been slow going to see that growth coming from Ultimate and specifically the Premier Ultimate League, where we started our own women's and non-binary professional league 2 years ago. I think it was in 2019. There was a men's professional league that had started in 2012 that's still going. So you can see this across all sports, how everyone's trying to do better and trying to improve in terms of growing the sport through an equitable lens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else with the challenges or the positives that you've seen? And don't feel like you have to give anymore. I want to make sure you got all your thought out, since you have taken on so much in this last year.
Yeah, I really appreciate the work that I do see going into the sport, because everyone is talking about these things because they care about it. And I think that if we take the time to listen to each other and really try to understand everyone's struggles and challenges, I think that we'll be better off, leading with compassion and trying to figure out what it is that you have and how it is that you can give it to other people. So just having that mutual respect and, having that learning and growth mindset for yourself and for the sport, I think that would go a long way. Just having the ability to listen to others is hard without, being defensive about it. And so sometimes I feel like I've had these conversations at the local level and even at the national level where I'm touring, that it's hard to have these conversations without there being that kind of like butting heads. So I think if we, reframe it and make sure that we are understanding that everyone's on the same side, we all care, that would go a long way.
Okay. Well, we've arrived at the final question, and super excited what you say too. What do you bring to the table that sets you apart from other candidates, and why should members vote for you?
I love this question. I've read through the get to know the candidates page. I can't wait to listen to these other interviews to learn more about them. So I'm only going off of what I've read on the one page itself. But I will be a new person. So I think there's one incumbent, from my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And also I am the only woman, and I'm the only person of color running, I believe. So that in itself stands out to me. I think we have eight good candidates here, but I think that coming from this new player, professional player, I'm touring this year, all of these different identities that I have are going to go into being someone that really wants to bring a new, fresh light into the PDGA and trying to help its membership in the sport.
Okay, well, thank you first and foremost, not only for just the idea of running, but for also, of course, taking the time for all of our members so that they are a little bit more educated as to how you align and everything that you bring to the table. We're going to close it out. And again, I want to say to everyone, make sure you get out and vote. That is first and foremost the most important thing. Find which candidate that you align with or that excites you the most, and make sure you get out there and cast your vote. So again, for Leah Tsinajinnie, I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. This has been your 2021 PDGA Board of Director candidate interview. We wish everyone the best of luck, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you.